Hi, Joel. How are you doing today?
I am doing wonderful, wonderful on this nice snowy day.
Fantastic. Well, we're here to talk to you about your calcium product. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, we go a bit of a different route than most companies when it comes to our calcium. Most companies out there, what they do is they use a little bit of calcium and they put it into either a tablet or a capsule and they give it to you. And most people take one a day, or if they're lucky, they take two a day and they hope to get results. What ended
Hmm.
up happening with us is we started from a completely different standpoint. The product we sell today actually was formulated, believe it or not, for my mother. What
Oh.
happened was my mother went to her doctor, and being of a certain age, the doctor said, okay, we need to do a bone density study. Did the bone
Hmm.
density study, and my mother was not pleased with the results, so of course she ended up calling her son, the formulator, yelled at me, and wanted to know why I didn't have a product for her already. At
Mom.
which point in time, I said, give me a couple of days.
Hmm.
I then went and started researching calcium products, looking at them out there, trying to figure out which one would make the most sense to make or do for my mother, and realized that the calcium products on the market had a flaw. And
Hmm.
the flaw was that very few of them actually concern themselves with the actual amount of calcium that your body absorbed. And let me explain what I mean by that. Many products out there, if you look, will say, okay, we have 1,000 milligrams of calcium A, be it calcium citrate, calcium carbonate, calcium hydroxyapatite, calcium thisate, statate, whatever. And you take it and, okay, great. The problem is every single calcium salt, they're all called salts,
Hmm.
on the market. And when I say salt, calcium carbonate is a salt of calcium. Calcium citrate is a salt of calcium. So the actual form has what's called an elemental value. And the elemental value is the amount of that molecule that's actually calcium. And what I mean by that, for example, is if you look at calcium carbonate is only 20% calcium. So if you take 1,000 milligrams of calcium carbonate, which there are many products on the market that are, you're actually only getting 200 milligrams of calcium. If you
Hmm.
look at calcium citrate, it's 22%, still really low. Then it gets even worse if you look at them and say, okay, they may be really low in calcium percentage, but they're really high absorption. Not really. Calcium carbonate, for example, if you take what's known as the lab value, and the lab value is under ideal laboratory conditions, how much can we absorb? It's still under 20%. So you're taking 1,000 milligrams of calcium carbonate, as an example. It's
Hmm.
only 200 milligrams of calcium, and of that 200 milligrams, if you're having the most perfect absorption possibilities, you're still only getting 40 milligrams of calcium.
Wow. Well, where
And
does
if you
all
look at
the
citrate, it's not much better. Most of them don't take into account those two important factors.
where does the excess calcium go? Do we just excrete it, or?
It depends on the form of calcium, and it also depends on what's with the calcium as to what happens. Some forms of calcium are very poor in how they do that. Other calciums are better. And what I
Hmm.
mean by that is, if you go and look at chemistry, there's organic and inorganic chemistry. I'm going back to high school here. Put it really easily, inorganic chemistry is for things that are not or were never living. Organic is for things that are alive or were alive. So, for example, if it's a calcium from a plant, it would be an organic form of calcium. If it's limestone, it would be inorganic. Inorganic calciums tend to precipitate out in your digestive system.
Hmm.
So they don't get absorbed because what ends up happening is they get in you, and most of them just fall down and gets excreted in your poop. Some forms, the nastier forms of inorganic, actually get absorbed is the wrong word. They get into you, but they end up getting deposited onto plaque. in your
Oh,
arteries, which is a really bad thing. So
yeah.
not only is it not doing good for you, it can actually do harm to you. And some forms also are more likely to cause bone spurs, things like that.
Okay.
So the form really matters. Ideally, people want to go to organic sources. And when I say organic, not necessarily certified organic, but organic in the form of organic chemistry organic.
Hmm.
And in the end, if you sit back without looking at any of the chemistry or anything like that and just think about it logically, it actually makes more sense. Think about 10,000 years ago. Your great, 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 great ancestor, my great, 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 however many great ancestor, if all of a sudden they felt weak and they wanted to go eat something to make
Hmm.
them feel stronger, are they going to go eat vegetables, fruit, plants, or are they going to go gnaw on a limestone?
Good point.
I don't know many of them that would gnaw on the limestone.
So your
And the
calcium
whole
is
thing is,
actually, sorry?
sorry, go ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead,
it's
sorry.
derived from plants, is it?
Correct, yes.
Hmm.
And what we like to say is that our bodies are designed to actually intake our nutrition from organic sources, from
Hmm.
plants, from things that were alive or are still alive. Our digestive system is better attuned to it, our enzymes, our body is just designed for that. Now, when it comes to ours specifically, we use a couple different forms of calcium in ours. We use calcium, potassium, phosphorus complex,
Okay.
and calcium gluconate lactate.
Mhm.
And both of those are actually from plants. Now, although the calcium gluconate lactate sounds, oh my God, it's got lactose in it, it's lactate.
Mm.
Nope, it's not from dairy, and it, it has nothing to do with that. There's no lactose in it. It's just the actual chemistry behind it.
Okay, so it's still a vegan product?
Completely. And we
Okay,
also have vitamin D in the product, and our vitamin D as well is vegan. It comes from mushrooms.
fantastic. Because I know that you need vitamin D to really utilize the calcium that you're taking in.
It definitely helps, there's no question. And vitamin D, even beyond that, is just a healthy thing, period. Because
Hmm.
especially with us living in the northern climate in the winter, we're a little low on the natural vitamin D coming from the sunshine.
Just a little bit.
A little bit.
So, are there other active ingredients in there? You mentioned phosphate,
Yeah,
phosphorus?
the calcium itself, one of the forms of calcium, is actually bound naturally to potassium and phosphorus,
Okay.
both of which help put the calcium into what's called the lattice of your bones. Because your
Mm.
bones, most people think of your bones as, oh, it's nice, it's solid, it's hard. It's actually more of a lattice. And what I mean by that is it looks more like a really, really tight spun um, fabric. Because there's little holes in it, and they're just threads basically that keep crossing over each other. And yes, each thread is hard, and together, all the threads of this lattice come together to make something truly hard.
Hmm. Who would be the ideal person? You mentioned your mom. So would this
Yes,
be helpful for osteopenia, osteoporosis, or um, who would be the ideal person to take
it's
this
actually
supplement?
ideal for anyone. And
Okay.
what I mean by that is most people, unfortunately, think about their bone health either once they're at a specific age where the doctor says to,
Hmm.
or after they've broken or a relative has broken a bone. And then you have to worry about mending the bone and having enough stores to do that. The good news is the bones, think of your bones and the calcium levels, etc., as a bank account.
Hmm.
If you have the right calcium and you're taking it on a regular basis and starting at a fairly young age, you can actually have enough deposits and enough healthy bone to last your lifetime. You just start when you're young and work your way up. They actually found that there was a study done, oh gosh, in Europe. I'm trying to remember which country. It was one of the Norwegian countries. Um, and they found that girls as young as 9, if they were on a proper program,
Hmm.
could actually have better bone health in their 40s by taking calcium supplementation before they were teenagers.
Wow, that's
There
amazing.
is also there is also one other ingredient in our product that helps calcium absorption as well. It's
Hmm.
fiberific, which is our fiber product made of a specialized inulin,
Oh,
and
yes.
they have found that that specific compound, when taken with calcium, what it actually does is it temporarily alters the pH of your digestive system to make it more susceptible to absorbing calcium.
That's fantastic.
And at the same time, you get a little bit of good fiber.
No, well, that's great too.
Definitely.
Absolutely. And calcium is not only just good for the bones. Like a lot of people just think of their bones when it comes to calcium, but I mean it's also great for the teeth. And I've heard that it's actually
Also, muscle and nerve function.
oh, okay. Hmm.
Yeah, part of the triggers for your muscles to actually contract and for nerve impulses, it actually requires calcium for both of those.
And preventing high blood pressure as well. I've heard that.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Definitely. Now, but there is something I do have to explain as well. If you
Hmm.
remember early on in the conversation, I was saying how most companies do one pill of 1,000 milligrams or two pills, etc.
Hmm.
And we couldn't do that with our product. And what I mean by that is the problem is to get the forms we were doing, which were high elemental, so high in calcium, and at the same time high absorption, we had to use a fair bit of them because they're fairly fluffy, for lacking a better phrase, and they wouldn't fit into capsules or tablets easily.
Mm.
So our product instead is actually a soluble powder.
Oh,
So it's a powder
cool.
you can mix either in a smoothie, you can mix it in a drink. A lot of our people will take it and just in the morning, I've had it before, I've just put it into my yogurt or applesauce. It has a mild taste, but not a strong one, and it's not chalky.
Hmm.
But a serving of ours is actually a rounded teaspoon. And in a rounded teaspoon, you're getting 2,465 milligrams of calcium and 500 IU of vitamin D.
That's pretty amazing. What a convenient way to take calcium. I know a lot of people don't like to swallow pills or tablets, so that's an amazing way. Very unique.
It is, yeah, we're fairly unique on the market in the fact that we did it as a soluble powder so that people could essentially enjoy it as the way they want. One really funky, cool thing you can try,
Hmm.
which some people like to do, is one way I was taught to test the quality of a mineral product was
Hmm.
to actually test its solubility. And it's a crude test. It's not the be all and end all, but it's an easy consumer test. What you do is you take, for example, say you're doing a capsule or a tablet at home.
Hmm.
You would take whatever your daily dose is, however high it is or however low it is, and put it into 2 cups of white vinegar. Put it in a bottle, like a water bottle, 2 cups of vinegar, so a full bottle, and just shake the living daylights out of it for about 2 minutes and just leave it
Hmm.
for about a half an hour. And the cool thing is, whatever is on the bottom of the bottle
Hmm.
after half an hour is stuff you poop out.
Ah,
And this is a crude experiment. It's not to the milligram perfect, but it's a pretty good guess. You can try that with ours, and what you'll see, virtually nothing at the bottom.
oh, that's interesting. It's a very good way to check the quality of your products at home. I'm going to be doing
It's
that with
it's
some
a
of
it's a
mine.
crude way. It's a
Hmm.
crude way because, of course, our digestive system is far more acidic than vinegar is. But you don't want to work with anything more acidic than vinegar at home.
No, definitely not.
It gives you a
So,
good indication.
oh, that's a great tip. Anything else you wanted to say about the product? How did your mom do with it? How is her bone density doing now?
Well, that was actually part of the fun with this. So what
Mhm.
happened was my mother, they told my mother to, okay, go there, try a calcium product, and we'll see you in 6 months. She went back in 6 months. They tested her again, and the person doing it shook their head and said, okay, we got to try another machine. Okay, so they walked her to another machine, tried the other machine. Oh, something's wrong here. We got to get the machine serviced. So she had to come back a week later. She came back a week later, same problem. They were dumbfounded. They declared her a genetic abnormality because in 6 months, her bone density went up over 1%.
Wow.
Apparently, that's never happened.
Oh my gosh, so they didn't even believe it.
It is. But here's something I do want to be in a pattern of complete and utter honesty and disclosure.
Mm-hmm.
My mother, if you tell my mother to take 1.65 milligrams of something 3 times a day, she will take 1.65 milligrams 3 times a day. She is fastidious when it comes to instructions. So she did an exact dose, and we told her, okay, at the same time, remember, you've got to do your wrist exercise, you've got to do your leg exercise. She did all of it every day. So I just want to put that out there, so it's not entirely the calcium, but the calcium helps.
That's great, though. Oh my gosh, what a difference! And this is safe for children as well, or would they take
Yep, not a problem with that. There's no issues. What we do recommend, though, is dialing it back, and just you can talk to your practitioner, or you can do the math yourself and just decide how to dial it back.
Okay.
And I'll even say the weirder thing is, we even use this exact product, yes, believe it or not, on our lizard.
Really?
Yes, we have to. For anyone who knows, we have a bearded dragon, a beardy, and bearded dragons have a problem is that they need daily supplements of calcium. And when we first got our beardy, they said, okay, here's the jar of calcium. You've got to sprinkle it on every day. So I went through the first jar, and then I went back to the store, looked at the cost of the jar, and said, you've got to be kidding me. Realized that the product I made uses much better ingredients, and I'm paying roughly the same price for something that's much better. So yeah, we've had our beardy on it for over a year, and she's happy.
That's pretty cool. I must confess, I know nothing about reptiles, but that's really interesting. So
until we had one, I didn't know either.
Where can people reach out and find your products, Joel?
Well, the calcium is an interesting one. We're available at most health food stores. We're also available in all of the Loblaws affiliated food stores, which are Supercenter, Your Independent Grocer, Fortino's. I got to remember them all. Loblaws itself. We're in all of those. Additionally, we're on Amazon, and I think we're also on well.ca, and you can also find us on our own website, purelenaturalstore.com.
Awesome. That's great. So very readily available when someone wants to reach out and grab some of your products up.
Definitely. And please, anyone who has any questions, please don't hesitate to either call us, email us, or just get in touch with us through the website. We love questions. We love answering them.
And the website is, can you tell our listeners that?
Sure. It's Purele, Purele, naturalstore.com.
Awesome. Anything else that you'd like to tell our listeners today, Joel?
Go out, have fun, enjoy the outdoors, and just remember, supplement wisely.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It is my pleasure.